Hi there, this is Dr. Jen, and today I thought I would share how to create social stories with Boardmaker. You've all seen your typical social stories that look something similar to this. Now today I'm going to share with you a few extra tips and tricks. That I've added an I can statement on the side. I can follow directions. This also was a great way to title and save my project. A lot of my social stories, when I would go back in and try to find them, were all called some format of following directions. Well, if I didn't have it labeled directly on the social story, I had a hard time finding which following directions social story I used if I wanted to print it off again for another student. I also like in this one, you can see I made a couple of extra words bold to draw attention to, like I look, I listen, I work. In this one, I've given extra emphasis to some of them by making them smaller and putting them in the middle and also numbering them. Or drawing extra attention by using the circle feature when creating buttons. This was also allowing options for the child. They could choose to take deep breaths, they could count, or they could take a break. So it wasn't necessarily steps, but it was one of the steps that they could choose which part they were going to do. And in this one, you can see we broke down the steps as well. Now, something a little different than your typical social story would be an expected and unexpected behaviors list. So at the top, you can see it's labeled assembly. And then at the bottom, you can see that there are pictures that the student and I both work to create as their expected and unexpected behaviors during assembly. Now, a little take on that. We could also make this interactive, like a file folder with Velcro. And for this other child, she had some attention-seeking behaviors, so I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the I will not side. I didn't want to draw extra attention to or give her more attention for those negative behaviors, but allow more positive interactions for the expected behaviors. And there you can see are the pieces that we would cut out, laminate, and Velcro, and the child could stick to that other page. And one more option that we're going to go through on how to create today is more of a social story type book. So here's a routine that I've created for a couple students. Reading group with friends. We sit, we look at the board, we're quiet, we learn, and we talk when it's our turn. Those are some of the things that we were working on in group. And then you can see that we actually created a social story with their pictures in it. So at the bottom it says, in reading group, we take turns answering questions. The teacher calls on us. If one of us blurts out, and I use the Boardmaker button option to create this speech text bubble to show that a child is blurting out. Boardmaker also has the bubble for thinking, so the other person gets mad. So it's a really neat way you can illustrate a picture of what someone is saying and what someone is thinking. All right, let's dig in. With your typical social story, I like them to be in the portrait mode. Boardmaker automatically creates it in the horizontal unless you've changed that setting from the start. So you can go over to the file and page setup, and there we can click portrait. And okay. So right away, I'm going to make a button. Across my page here. I usually think of social stories being about 5, maybe 7 steps long. So I might type something in there right away, like I come to school to learn, period. Now if I hit enter, a picture will come up and I will type in school to narrow it down just a little bit more and put that in there. You can see that Boardmaker has this automatic style where the picture's up top, words are on the bottom. When I do social stories, I typically like the pictures to be on the right-hand side. So then I can come over here and format this button. And you can see this pin here. You can pin that to the side so it stays up. And over here is where we format that button. Picture on the right, words on the left. I might also want to highlight that and make it a little bit bigger. And there we go. So I did this one button first so that I can go ahead and spray it, and all the remaining buttons will have the same format then. Just like that. Then I don't have to mess around with each button's properties. They'll all be the same. The teacher gives directions. Here's a teacher. Now let's say I want to add extra emphasis. I could just make it a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to do maybe 3 steps for that one. So I'm going to spray that. So it's all the same size. I don't have to guess. And then the 3 steps would be something like I look. And I like the picture of the eyes. I look. I listen. I do. Or I work. Let's do work. All right. This makes me happy. There we go. Social story is done. I can put a title at the top to help me find this social story back. It could be maybe the child's name. It could be just like kindergarten following directions. Okay, and you can see that the title didn't all show up, so we're going to make that text box a little bit bigger by just dragging on it. I can make that font a little bigger. There we go, and I have a spelling there. Nice. Kindergarten following directions. All right, that looks good. And you also saw in the example, I maybe numbered these. That was simply by doing a label. So I put a label right here. I put a number 1, and I made that format bigger. So let's go down to like a 28. And then with this, I'm not sure if you can spray it, but you can copy it. Control copy. Let's see, click on it. Copy, Control V to paste it so that I have the exact same formatting. Control V to paste again, Velcro. And then I can just change it to a 3. That way I have that same font size. And another one I did, I had used circles to delineate different options the child could choose from. So let's say when the teacher gives directions, sometimes I get mad. Let's do a picture of mad. Here we go. And then I can, we'll make that a little bit bigger. Oh, I clicked off of it. And then we're going to choose options for that child and what they've maybe been taught to do when they're upset. Some options that we have in our classroom. So this time I'm going to pick a button, and here come those properties over here. If you don't see that properties, it's because you haven't selected the button. So select the button, the properties will show up. So if I scroll down there, I've got some different styles for that button. I can click on here and I can make that a circle. And let's see, I can go for a walk. I think that formatting looks okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spray that. I can get a drink. Kind of want a water fountain here. Yep, there we go. Oops, drink. Let's see, what else can you do when you're mad? Count. That looks good. I can highlight these all and make them bigger at the same time or stretch them out. Can fill that space. And then I could change it to I am ready to work. And maybe I'd want that picture to be of a calm face. I've calmed down. Oh, this one looks nice. There, I'm ready to work. Another option would be to create expected and unexpected list. Boardmaker has a ton of templates available, so I can do File, New. Let's take Project, and then on the side are all of these template types. So I can go down to Social and Behavioral Supports, and I can do Other, I believe, and Print. Yep, I will not chart shows up. So I can click right there. No, I'm not saving my project. And I can go ahead and populate these. I like to do that typically with the child. You can also change up top, if you want to sort them by other characteristics, you can. If you want this to be one that they Velcro onto, File, New Page. Let's make that page Portrait. So page setup, change it to Portrait, okay. I can go back over here and I can copy these buttons so that it's the exact same size on the page that we're going to cut and paste and glue from. I'm going to do 2 of them because there's 2 sets. And you can go through right there and fill them in. So hit, pick, listen, smile, whatever it may be to fill in that chart. This is now a project when I have more than one page. So these pages are linked and they can save together. You can do File, Save Project As, and then you can go ahead and save it like you normally would. All right, we are going to create a project and we were going to use actual pictures. So I've gone ahead and grabbed a couple of pictures off the internet that we can use for this social story. So if I wanted to do that, I can go in here, grab a picture that I've saved, and just plop it right there on the screen. I can make it bigger. There we go. And then on my story, I had, a label at the bottom, some sort of social story here that says, during reading group, I ... And so in that social story you had seen previously, I created buttons with thinking bubbles or talking bubbles. So with that button, I can put that on the screen. And just like we had before, we went over to Style. And right here was where we had that circle option. If we go down one more, Style Override, we've got some different options here. So we could use a speech bubble. And we could put something that child might be saying in that speech bubble. Let's go ahead and do another page. Let's plop in another picture here. And now we could do a thinking bubble. Do a button again. Style Override. Here's the thought bubble. So it's a really quick, easy way to, maybe use pictures from the classroom and include some thought and speech bubbles there. All right, I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.